Dracula. Yeah, we're ready.
Hello and welcome back to the True Crime Guys podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
What's up, people?
How's everybody doing?
You ready to get medieval up in this motherfucker?
Well, you better be.
Yeah.
Going back to the 14th bloody hundreds.
The 15th century.
Yeah.
Eastern Europe.
It's a time before civilized society, way before. A time of brutal politics.
A time when it's hard to believe that humans really lived the way they did. A time that is the most Game of Thrones-ish.
You'd like to think...
This is like, there's so you can, when after studying this case,
Yeah.
watching documentaries, reading books on it, it's so clear that Game of Thrones uses this time period. I mean, I guess that's common, you know, but it's like just so clear.
Yeah,
the power struggle back then. It was just like everyone was overthrowing everyone. Like families and like different cultures were fucking each other just so that they could get their daughter to marry some dude over there so they could get that territory eventually. Like it's just that's all it was.
You know what though? Why did people have so many sons? Like why not?
Because they knew they were all going to get killed in some horrendous way and they needed as many as they could get.
Oh,
like,
so you just
my first son was decapitated.
Okay,
my
right.
second son was buried alive.
Oh yeah,
now I have
true.
third backup.
That's such a typical family story back then, right?
They had an heir, a spare, and then another spare, and another spare.
Yeah, that's good. And they didn't have to be full siblings
playing the
either.
odds.
Yeah.
It
It didn't matter who your mother was. Your mother could be anybody. But if your father was a king, right? So they could literally have women having babies all over the place.
It was all about family, bloodlines, and all that stuff. So the more seeds you planted and the more kids you had, the better off your family heritage would be in your line of more castles you could have.
Right, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. The more alliances you could possibly make peacefully through marriages.
That being said, this case was super hard to get a grasp on. Just to get a grasp on what Vlad's life was like. We're doing Vlad the Impaler. We're going to dive into it after Michael's intro, obviously. But I still can't get enough of studying it, even though the book, it's so easy to like lose track of what the hell happened.
Because
every source we studied went through things so fast because so much shit happened.
Right.
It's like constantly people were dying. Constantly there was new people in power, kings and princes and whatever.
Right. And it feels like a mythical land. I like to think that we are very far removed from this time period.
Well, yeah.
Where we are now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, evolution.
So it makes it very hard. Like
way
these
places
aren't even places anymore. These countries aren't
Wallachia,
even countries.
not a place anymore.
Not a place anymore.
Right.
It's like southern Romania now or something like that.
Yeah, Romania is still around, but Wallachia, it's gone. Transylvania, still around. That's a place to visit. That place seems fucking awesome to visit because it's just the history. There's castles everywhere. And
definitely going to be
If you're listening from Transylvania, hit us up.
Hit us up. What kind of castles y'all got?
Can we come stay?
Because we're too lazy to even do a Google search, apparently.
Do you guys have Airbnb there? Right. Can we Airbnb a castle?
Right.
Recording live from Castle in Transylvania.
Wait a minute. Are we promoting Airbnb now?
I mean, we should mention that we are in a castle in Transylvania right now. We did go there just to get a feel for the place for this episode.
Right. The janitor is down playing the organ right now.
Michael put the battle axe down.
Sorry.
It's not so fun cool. I'm afraid you're going to hurt me. But yeah, this case is going to be fun, man. It's a little something a little different. I wanted to do at some point. I wanted to do a torture episode, just straight up torture.
Right.
Hard to find audiobooks for just torture. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, it's a lot of screaming.
Yeah. No, it's just not a lot of audiobooks. Just like it's actually the torture books that are out there. They're like old paperback only type shit.
Wow.
Or like leather bound books.
That's a problem. I think that's how you should be reading about torture. Is leather bound books and like some burnt pages and shit.
Right. Blood spatter on them.
Yeah. That's blood
because they were testing out the tortures while they were writing the book.
Right. Some of them have been cut by hacksaws. You can tell. Right. Left it on the saw while he was. Yeah,
but this one. It gives you that same feel of medieval times, and that's chock full of torture. This guy, Vlad the Impaler, was
I mean, he definitely earned his nickname.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, if impaling had an Olympics, he would win all the medals.
Oh, for impaling?
Yeah, especially like...
If that was an event?
Yeah, imagine like javelin throw.
Right into someone's anus.
If he would have known that javelin throwing was a thing...
Do you think he was doing the...
He would have been so inspired.
He wasn't doing the impaling, though. He was, like, having, his people do the impaling, I'm sure. He was just sitting back. I feel like he was sitting back like Tyrion
Yeah,
with a glass of wine watching them being
but
impaled.
it would definitely be worth
eating a
it.
nice roast beast while he was watching them be impaled.
Yeah, but hear me out though. It'd be worth it to at least learn how to do it and be able to impale one guy. All you gotta do is be able to impale
for
one
sure.
guy like that.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure he impaled himself more than one, for sure. But I think, I mean, there was one point where he, like, in one section of the story, there's 20,000
supposedly
Turks that were impaled.
Could be exaggeration though.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
It was very sensationalized. What else they got to write about? You know what I mean?
True.
Scurvy.
Where are they getting all these poles to impale people with? What are they called?
Whoever made poles, fucking
Killing
making
it.
a fortune.
Killing it.
Making a fortune.
Trees are just getting chopped down.
They don't
Like
even
forests
give
are
a
getting
shit.
chopped down. Just
Right.
Yeah.
For
all right.
death.
Let's do the intro.
For death.
Obviously, we like this case, so let's do the intro
All right.
and get into it.
Let's do it. Let's talk about Draculia.
Dracula.
Hello and welcome to the first ever Vlad the Impaler night at True Crime Guys Bar. Does anyone give a shit? Well, you should, because we have a great artist here. It's Mikey and the Tradition Fighters. Come here to play their hit song, Vlad the Impaler. Okay? You should be so lucky. So without further ado, give a big round of applause for Mikey and the Tradition Fighters.
This here's a song I wrote about Vlad the Impaler. Funny story about Vlad the Impaler, he is the inspiration for Dracula, who ironically was very afraid of wooden stakes. But not Vlad. So, in case you were wondering, he was quite fond of them. But this here's a song about him. Hope you enjoy it. He's not the first Vlad. He's not the second either. He's the Vlad that impaled all the people, spreading terror across the land. There's none more evil, though. He's Vlad the Impaler. He never had the biggest army, but he'd never back down. He'd stab you with one end of a stick and put the other end in the ground. If old Vlad looked your way, you can bet you never meet the jailer. Oh, he's Vlad the Impaler. You know, they say Vlad once impaled 20,000 people. 20,000 people. Holy shit. That's a spectacle. That's some Game of Thrones shit. Anyway, back to the last verse. This is what Vlad taught me. If at first you don't succeed, impale again. No matter how hard he fought, he couldn't beat those Ottomen. When they finally caught old Vlad, I think they did the world a favor. When they killed Vlad the Impaler. Hey, he's not the first Vlad. He's not the second either. He's the Vlad that impaled all the people, spreading terror across the land. There's none more evil, though. He's Vlad the Impaler.
All right, our case this week. Vlad Dracula.
Or Vlad number 3.
Vlad III.
Yeah. Draculia, actually.
Dracula.
If you want to get technical.
Yeah, I mean, how he got the name's interesting. We'll dive into that in a little bit. But he was actually the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Right. 400 years
the
before.
infamous vampire. And what's crazy about that is the fact that Dracula, super awesome, interesting story, fictional, obviously.
Right.
A character that was,
A little more focused on blood than that was.
yeah, it was
Vlad,
all,
you know what I mean?
totally different. Yeah, but inspired by, a freaking medieval torturer in Vlad the Impaler.
Right.
Tyrannical leader type.
I would
type
think
guy.
the disregard for humans that vampires have, Vlad also shared that.
But what I was getting to, yeah. What I was getting to is the true story. The guy that he was inspired by,
Right.
to make that character of Dracula was so much worse,
Way worse.
way worse than like they say sometimes truth is
You know
stranger
what?
than fiction. This is an example of that. Medieval
Right.
time, like there's no stories that could be any crazier than the shit that went on in medieval times.
You know what's crazy? You know what just occurred to me? The real Dracula would have nothing to do with wooden pointy sticks. He'd be like, get those far
True.
as
That's what kills
fucking
them,
away
right?
from me
It's like
ever.
wooden stakes.
Wooden stakes to the heart, man.
Yeah.
Exactly what Vlad
Garlic,
did
wooden
to other
stakes.
people. If anything, Vlad is a Van Helsing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. With complete disregard for human life as well.
Well,
And probably vampires too. And probably vampires.
I feel like the name Dracula, he liked that, and he liked the look because, man,
Yeah.
Vlad had a fucking badass look.
Yeah, he did. It was the
Vlad,
mustache. And
he
the
wasn't
green
tall.
Eyes.
He was short and stocky, had a sick mustache, like piercing green eyes that were like intense,
Okay,
a long nose,
Here's the thing though, with piercing eyes.
dressed like
I
a G.
figured out, you know how you have piercing eyes? You just move your eyes around slow.
Yeah, that's
And
creepy,
then
right?
everybody has piercing eyes. Move your eyes slow.
God, that's creepy. You want to creep some people out.
Just move your eyes slow. That's
Look
right.
at them and then slowly look at something else.
Yeah.
And then slowly look back at them again.
Yeah. Make perfect eye contact.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it
That's
to
how you
right
get
now. See if
piercing
you're
eyes.
creeped out.
Dude, I'm totally
Oh damn, I can't even
wait.
do it that slow.
No, goes slow.
All right,
Yeah.
have a smile.
Yeah,
so it
those
doesn't
are
work.
those are piercing eyes for sure, though. For sure.
But yeah, he just and he dressed like a G too, man. Like you look at old pictures of like drawn. It's like obviously not real
They're
pictures.
paintings.
They didn't have cameras back then, but they like the paintings of him. He looked creepy but cool, like
They definitely
intense, like scary. Like you're like, oh fuck, if I do
think
the
you
wrong
can-
thing, I'm gonna end up with a stick up my ass.
right. I think you can rely on paintings for things like that.
Yeah, they really captured the
Yeah.
vibe of a
And plus,
person.
the person who was getting painted, you know what I mean? They are going to look at the painting and be like, "Yeah, that's what I'm wearing."
He may have
That's how I
dressed
want
up
it to
more,
look.
knowing he was getting painted that day.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You definitely dress up for your painting. I mean,
It's like photo day at school, but
right? It's like it just sucks because you really got to hold that pose for a long time.
all right, so let's dive into him. Vlad III Dracula, known as Vlad the Impaler, was a military commander and prince of Wallachia 3 times between 1448 and his death. So this is 15th century Eastern Europe, medieval times. He's often considered one of the most important rulers of Wallachia and had a national and is still kind of known as like a national hero to Romania. So some people look at him as this monster, like something from,
Right.
like from hell. You know, like what he did to a lot of human beings is obviously horrible, and we're going to dive into a lot of the torture tactics. It wasn't just impaling; there was a lot of other stuff. he
Yeah,
did.
but Romania, if anybody, benefited from what he did.
Yes,
If any-
absolutely.
if
and
anybody.
also, you can't put today's feel on this case. This is
Oh,
medieval.
absolutely. Right.
Yeah,
It's totally different tactics.
Yeah,
different politics
everyone-
back then.
Everyone was crazy back then, dude. Like it's like impaling was like not even like, oh, he impaled 20,000 people. Man, that's a little. That seems like a little much. I feel like that's what they would say back then. Like,
Yeah.
Now we'd be like, what? Now would be like,
This
you couldn't even
some
comprehend
dark web
someone
shit
doing that
right here. This
Yeah.
should not even exist.
Couldn't even comprehend. Your brain would explode if you heard someone did this nowadays. Like, literally.
If you came across this field of 20,000, impaled corpses, it would blow your fucking mind.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I'm definitely in a dream.
Instant brain aneurysm, just fall over.
Yeah.
Back then, they'd be like, man, I feel like he went a little far.
I think-
maybe. Like, oh, well,
Really?
you want to go get some lunch?
Right?
That's how it was back then.
Right? Want to get a shish kebab?
He was just a little, he was just yeah. I'm craving some skewers. You want to go to, I'm craving some Greek
I like how
food.
these Boston Turks are just walking around. Out here.
Yeah, so, but I feel like he just went a little further than everyone else back then.
A little bit, yeah. But he had to.
Like,
he,
when
had no, he
you're-
didn't have any real numbers. He was the king of bluffs.
When you're known as being more cruel than others in medieval times, that's fucking insane.
That is insane.
So he was the second son of Vlad Dracul, who became the ruler of Wallachia in 1436. We mentioned Wallachia doesn't even exist anymore. This
Right.
is
Are you putting enough emphasis on the V that doesn't exist when you say that?
Yeah, it's spelled Wallachia.
Yeah.
Wallachia, but it's Wallachia. is how it's pronounced.
Wallachia. I think it's like a V and a W together.
Wallachia?
Wallachia.
Wallachia.
Yeah.
Wallachia.
Yeah, it's like you start with a V and then you go into the hard W. Wallachia.
New Orleans.
Nailed it.
Throwback to that episode. The
Fun
Axeman
one.
of New Orleans.
Right.
All right, Vlad and his younger brother Radu were held as hostages. Man, this story, I just love it. The more you like, I had to study it like 50 times. Like I got an audio
But it's
book.
worth it though.
Let's talk about
Once
the audio
you finally get it.
It is, dude, right? Because it's just like you could picture a movie. I'm sure there's got to be Vlad movies, right? Vlad
They're
the Impaler
probably
movies?
not even as good as
Probably-
what really happened, or
Probably,
what
they're
you
not.
know,
Yeah, they're
at
guaranteed.
least what's written.
But
commonly.
if you got like a badass director on a big budget, like a Game of Thrones type budget
Yeah,
to make
Quentin
this
Tarantino.
story, dude, like there's just between him and his brother, like
Yeah.
what goes on, how Radu goes and becomes like Muslim with the Ottomans,
Yep.
and then he ends up taking an army later on to fight against Vlad when he's the ruler of Wallachia later on, and ends up like, yeah, it's just crazy. Like these
Dude,
brothers
spoiler
split
alert.
off. Yeah, but I mean, it's just
We're getting into it. Yeah, the
so
brothers, they couldn't be more different than each other. But
Yeah,
they
they-
probably were only half brothers.
they chose
after all, though.
they chose different paths. Let's just say that, and it's interesting. You could make a movie just off that
Yeah.
alone. So the book I got was Vlad the Impaler: A Life from Beginning to End. It's made by Hourly History. It's only an hour.
Yep.
Made by Hourly History. It's got audiobook form, and it was just it was perfectly presented, all the facts. It's just you have to you cannot speed it up. Like a lot of audiobooks I speed up.
No, sir.
You got to like not only not speed it up, I almost needed to slow it down because they go, like we said, they go any case or any form of studying you do for this case, it just seems like documentaries, everything, they move through
Right.
stuff so fast because so much shit was happening.
and
like I
so
said.
many, and like
This dude's day-to-day life, like anyone back then, but Vlad's life, for
Right.
example, like everyday shit was happening, crazy shit. you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
He was getting power over a certain territory, and then all of a sudden he'd be thrown out of there and almost killed, and then have to like flee and go to an uncle in some other place. And
Right.
it's just like it's madness, dude. Like they all
It
they
was
all
a- it
woke
was a
up
might-
thinking I might die terribly today. That was like their
Dude, it
life
was a
back then.
might makes right
Oh,
world
society,
back then.
yeah.
It was a straight up Panzram. It's like the time period he should have been born in instead of the early 1900s or whatever.
Yeah, Panzram would have kicked ass back then.
Yeah. Oh man, he would have took it to way too far, dude. Oh man,
I guess he did his own form of impaling, right?
I guess so.
Sodomy.
Yikes. Yeah, we got that sodomy joke there.
Did you get? I had to really-
Hilarious.
had to really make sure you understood.
You get it? You know?
You know, because he
Impaling,
sodomized
you know.
a bunch of people.
Right.
All right.
Carry on.
So Vlad's early life. Let's get into his upbringing. What we know about. We don't even know his birthday. We know like within a few months of the year. He was the second legitimate son of Vlad II Dracul, who was an illegitimate son of Mercy. I think she was like Princess Mercy or Queen Mercy. Oh, it was Queen Mercy
Okay.
of Wallachia. Vlad II had won over the moniker Dracul for his membership in the Order of the Dragon, a militant fraternity founded by Holy Roman Emperor Sigismund. And so they had this like band of brothers or whatever that would go around and fight for Christianity.
Right.
They had a pretty badass insignia. If you look it up, the Order of the Dragon's insignia.
How could it not be?
Their logo is pretty dope.
Yeah.
And so they were like crusaders.
Especially for that time too. Can you imagine on some armor and some shit?
Yeah. So they were. So Vlad the Impaler's father, Vlad Dracul, he was a crusader for Christianity, a part of this Order of the Dragon that would go around fighting
Right.
to keep Christianity alive
Dracul
because
actually meant dragon.
yeah, it meant dragon, and nowadays it means a devil.
Right.
So it's so basically
A little different.
the way that Vlad III or Vlad the Impaler got his moniker of Dracula was just because he was the son of Dracul, and that's what do they
That's
call
it.
that? They added that because he was the son.
Like yeah, the suffix "ia" at
Yeah,
the end meant
yeah.
son of.
Yeah, and so his dad was going around fighting for Christianity against the Muslim because the Muslims were trying to expand and take over, and they were worried about their faith being absolved.
Yeah, and
essentially.
their power.
Yeah,
and
so
absolved.
they're a band of guys out there fighting for the Holy Roman Emperor, and so the Order of the Dragon was dedicated to halting the Ottoman advance into Europe. As he was old enough to be a candidate for the throne of Wallachia in 1448, his time of birth would have been between 1428 and 1431. Vlad was most likely born after his father settled in Transylvania in 1429. So we know that around 1428, 1431, he was born. I think most people say 1431, right?
Yeah.
Historians have determined that Vlad was born in the Transylvanian Saxon town of Sigishora. We're going to butcher a lot of names. Just so you know, I'm sure you already knew that.
Well, these places don't exist anymore,
We're done.
anyways.
As long as we don't talk about lizards in this one, we should be okay.
Just don't say anything about animals. God damn.
Yeah, the just to quickly mention last week's episode, the Komodo dragon is the lizard that we were talking about that bites water buffalo legs and sits
And
there
we
and stares up.
mentioned that lizard as well, but I guess it didn't make it onto the episode.
Yeah,
Somehow we must have cut it out or something.
you know, Gila monster just sounds more badass.
It does.
To be honest. They're both scary sounding lizards that both are poisonous, by the way.
Right.
Someone tweeted us all angrily and saying
Oh,
that Gila monsters are sweet little creatures and I pick them up and make them my friend. I'm like, all right, well, I Googled it and it says that they have a painful bite and they're poisonous. So have fun with that.
Yeah.
Have fun making them your friend and getting fucking bit.
I was like, I just Googled that shit.
But when we started a
You
true
should
crime
do it.
podcast, the last thing I expected is like 2 years down the line to be arguing with people on Twitter about lizards.
Right.
You know, if anything, if we got a detail wrong about a true crime thing, that's
Right.
fine. But yeah, you know, our lizard knowledge is not up to standard.
It's not up to par. We should have known better.
Although we do live in the desert, we should know better.
Should we?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. We know we don't touch them. They're all endangered because it's hot out here and it's hard to live.
Right? Their tails pop off too, most of them.
Yeah.
I do know that. So back to Vlad. Modern historians identify Vlad's mother either as a daughter or a kinswoman of Alexander of Moldavia, or as his father's unknown first wife. So yeah, his father, Vlad II, he had a wife, but he was also screwing people all over the place. So we don't really know truly who Vlad the Impaler's mother was.
Right.
No one knows. There's a lot of stuff about Vlad that we'll never know.
They were surprisingly open with sexuality at this time. Well, I mean, if
Vlad wasn't though.
you were a man,
Vlad
were
the
a man.
Impaler, Vlad Dracula,
yeah.
was very not fond of adultery or any kind of like even premarital sex. Like he would impale women for that.
Well, he didn't want
do all kinds of
women. Well, I didn't say you had rights if you were women, but
Oh,
they were
okay.
more progressive with the men's sexual rights there.
Men can go around banging everybody, but the
Yeah,
women that they bang
absolutely.
that are either married or haven't been married to the person, they should be killed, right?
Impale them immediately, please.
Yeah, different time. Vlad II Dracul seized Wallachia after the death of his half-brother Alexander Aldea in 1436 after a meeting with John Hunyadi. That's right, Hunyadi. Big player in this case, actually, John Hunyadi. Military commander of Transylvania, Vlad II Dracul did not support an Ottoman invasion of Transylvania in March 1442. The Ottoman Sultan, Murad II, ordered him to come to Gallipoli, I think that's how it's said, Gallipoli, to demonstrate his loyalty. Vlad and Radu accompanied their father to the Ottoman Empire, where they were all imprisoned. Yeah, so the Sultan imprisons the sons and essentially holds them captive as a means of making sure that Vlad II Dracul is going to live up to what he said he was going to do.
Right.
In helping out the Ottomans. And that was a pretty common practice back then. They would basically just hold your family captive until they got what they wanted out of you.
Especially the next heirs to the throne.
Right.
They're even more valuable than just any kind of prisoners for. Yeah.
Yeah, Vlad Dracul was released before the end of the year, but Vlad and Radu remained hostages to secure their father's continued loyalty. Their lives became even more in danger after their father supported Vladislav, king of Poland and Hungary, against the Ottoman Empire during the Crusade of Varna in 1444.
Why would you do that while your kids are being held captive over there? That's like the worst idea.
Yeah, your
They're
enemy
gonna take it out on them.
Your enemy has your two
Right.
sons and heirs to your throne after you die, and you're like, you know what? Fuck you. I still don't like you. I'm still gonna fight against you.
Well, they didn't have to be his enemy. They weren't even truly enemies until he did what he did.
Yeah. And so Vlad Dracul was convinced that his two sons were butchered for the sake of Christian peace after he basically conspired against them again, against the Ottomans.
So he just wrote him off. He was like, he was willing to sacrifice him.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
You know, that's the time.
Right.
But because back then things were really bigger than your individual self. They really were. Like, you laying your life down could actually make a massive difference in this time period and this part of the world.
Right.
It could change everything. Nowadays, like, I don't know, one life seems to be less, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, we're not impaling people by the thousands anymore.
True.
So in that sense, I think life is a little more valuable.
Well, I would say noble people's lives meant more, and then peasants there was thousands to be butchered all the time.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's the way it was. The classes were different. Now anyone
I
has
see
a
what you're
chance.
saying. Yeah.
At least in America and many good countries, but there's still some where there's still those classes like that. But neither Vlad nor Radu were murdered or mutilated after their father's rebellion. So they were actually treated pretty well by the Ottoman Empire while they were in
They must have
captivity.
grown to like him.
Well, for sure, Radu did. He became one of them. Vlad and Radu,
That's a great point.
yeah, Radu just took it on. Like, all right, I'll be one of y'all. Especially after his, you know what? Maybe Radu was right. His father was like, fuck you.
He's like Loki.
Yeah. Radu just became one of them. Vlad fought the whole way. The whole time he was in captivity, he was still like, no, I'm not going to become one of y'all. You guys can try and indoctrinate me. I'm still Christian, this and that.
Right.
Vlad and Radu managed to flee the Ottoman Empire eventually, which suggests that the Sultan had allowed them to leave after their father had paid homage. Not long after they were graded, the brothers were granted their freedom. Vlad Dracul and his eldest son, Mircea, were murdered. And how they were murdered? Brutal. So the father was beheaded, right?
Yep.
And then the eldest son, Mircea, was actually buried alive.
Jeez, they were just bored with randomly killing people, you know?
I get the beheading thing. I don't think that'd be the worst way to go if it was done right.
You know what killed?
Over in a split. I think we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
But if it's done right, obviously it can go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If they strike you and it doesn't do the job right the first time. But if you got a good guillotine that's properly tuned in, or
properly
a
oiled,
big man
sharpened.
with an axe that's very sharp, it's just over. Although they've done didn't they do studies back in the day where they asked the person that got beheaded to blink for as long as they're still conscious, and it's like 15 seconds or something, you're still aware. I imagine it takes a few seconds.
It takes a few seconds.
Yeah, and someone that was beheaded was able to blink for 15 seconds. So they were sitting there like, yeah, there goes my body, and yep. 15 seconds.
That's
a long fucking time when you really think about it. To be sitting there without a body.
Oh my God.
If you've learned anything from us today, it's that 15 seconds is a long time to not have your body. Just be ahead.
That is a long time.
Do you think you can still feel your body?
No.
You
probably think you can.
I bet you can't feel a damn thing.
You're probably tripping out.
I bet you can't feel a damn thing. I bet...
you don't think you could even feel the side of your face on the ground?
It's probably an endorphin rush, or like you're on some kind of strong hallucinogenic. They say that your brain releases
endorphins,
DMT or something like that. It's where you're just like tripping out. But I mean, if you've gotten really hurt before, if you had like a super bad injury, you do go into shock and you don't feel...
Absolutely.
So that's designed for a reason.
Yep.
So I think if you got beheaded or...
Yeah, it's a defense system.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, did you hear that Joe Rogan episode with the bodybuilder that went on and had the heart attacks, and he actually had a heart transplant?
C.T. Fletcher?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard it. Well, I've heard his first one on there with him.
Yeah, if you guys haven't heard that, go check it out. Joe Rogan with C.T. Fletcher on.
That dude's a beast.
Dude has had
most motivational dude in the world.
He's died like twice. He's flatlined with heart attacks, and he told the story of dying, and he said for sure, 100%, he knows there's something after death, that it's not just over.
Yeah,
he can say that with certainty because he died twice, and also he said that when he was the last time he flatlined, he was just talking to his wife, and all of a sudden the lights went out. It was like a TV shutting off, and he's like, with 100% certainty that you're dying. That's it. Like in that moment, this is it. Shit. I'm done. And so...
Well, obviously it wasn't, though. So.
No, but you essentially did die for a few minutes. And he said that after just a couple minutes of being dead, when they revived him, he said he felt like he had a full night's rest. He never felt better in his life.
Really?
It's like, Jesus.
Because you're happy to be alive.
Yeah.
It's that gratitude.
Yeah. True.
That's what it was.
True. He's on borrowed time. That's the way he looks at life now. Yep. He now has a woman's heart, actually. One of the most strong... He at one point, one of the best bodybuilders in the world.
Yeah.
Now has a woman's heart, and I guess it's grown to adjust to his body. Like, that's how crazy the body is. It just kind of like...
Oh, my God. We're amazing.
Right?
Humans are amazing.
Like cyborgs, man.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, man, we're just going to be putting our brain into a robot's body, and we're going to live forever.
Live forever.
I've been saying this for a while. I've been saying we're going to have self-driving cars, and we're going to be able to just slap our body into a cyborg body.
Our brain, yeah.
We're going to be like Terminators.
Dude, it could just be a copy of our consciousness.
Yeah.
And that can just go on.
Yeah, as someone who is two people who take pretty good care of their bodies and work to do that, isn't it going to be kind of annoying when you see like a slob, lazy person that is just
just gets a whole new body,
going to get a cyborg body, and they're going to
son of a bitch.
They're going to be all badass, and you're like, you didn't work for that.
You didn't work for that.
You don't deserve that body,
right? Well, throw some water on you, short circuit, son of a bitch.
All right, so let's get back on track and talk about Vlad's family. Vlad had two wives. According to modern historians, his first wife may have been an illegitimate daughter of Vladislav II. Vlad's second wife was Justina Siligai, I don't know,
Nailed it.
who was a cousin of Matthias Corvinus. This is what I mean about this story. Is it gets crazy. It's like everyone's cousins with someone, and they all own castles, and they all own territories, and it's just like
Not the most exciting part of the story.
yeah. We'll
it's
spare the
detrimental.
details on like the constant power struggle and stuff. Just know that it's constant Game of Thrones shit. People are constantly being killed, and then new
And
people
fucking.
take their place, and fucking, and
A lot of killing and fucking.
cousins be banging, and all kinds of shit. It's very
That's
Game
what
of Thrones is
happens.
pretty realistic in that sense.
Yeah,
minus the White Walkers and all that.
right. And the dragons were a little bit different. They were just people named after dragons.
True.
Yeah.
Do you see the behind the scenes thing they're coming out with on HBO? Behind the scenes of Game of Thrones, it looks really good.
No, dude, I haven't even watched Game of Thrones.
Oh, you're fucking.
It's a protest
Just-
at this
just
point.
Leave.
I just don't even fucking want to do it.
Welcome to the True Crime Guy podcast.
Dude, it's too much of an undertaking.
He's not worthy. Just watch it. Just just start putting it on, and you'll get
Fucking
sucked in.
Hours of my life.
I gotta say, first episode, you gotta make it through that one. It was a little.
You know I'm not a big TV guy. You know that.
I guess so.
You know that.
Yeah. All right. Vlad's eldest son, Mania, was born 1462. Vlad's unnamed second son was killed before 1486. His third son, Vlad Dracula. This is why they have a lot of kids. Like I said,
man,
one was already killed. But his third son, Vlad Dracula, unsuccessfully laid claim to Wallachia around 1495, 20 years after Vlad the Impaler's death. He was the forefather of the noble Dracula family. Dracula? I don't know.
Dracula.
So let's talk about Vlad's first rule. Upon the death of his father and elder brother, Vlad became a potential claimant to the rule of Wallachia. Vladislav II, formerly known as John Hunyadi, launched a campaign against the Ottoman Empire in September of 1448. Taking advantage of his opponent's absence, Vlad broke into Wallachia, leading an Ottoman army in early October. The Ottomans defeated Vladislav II's army in the Battle of Kosovo between October 17th and 18th. Hey, my birthday. In 1448.
Somewhere around your birthday.
Right. It started on my birthday. And
Oh.
Vladislav II returned to Wallachia at the head of the remnants of his army. Vlad was forced to flee the Ottoman Empire on December 7th, 1448. And so he's in exile. He first settled in Idrine, which was located in the Ottoman Empire after his fall. Not long after, he moved to Moldavia, where Bogan II, his father's brother-in-law, and possibly his maternal uncle, had attained the throne with Vladislav II's support. This is what I mean.
Yeah,
Like,
you
he
could
takes
put
over.
possibly his uncle on like anybody.
Yeah, he becomes ruler of Wallachia like a bunch of times, and then
Yeah.
someone with a bigger army will show up, kick him
Right.
out, and then he has to go to an uncle's house for a while.
Right.
It's like, I got to get my shit
It's
together.
like no
uncle.
wonder he went as extreme as he did, because every time he went back, he was like, "All right, that didn't scare him. All right, all right, all right."
We have the same shit going on now, just on a much lamer scale, where it's like you have that nephew that's like,
Yeah, it's more of
he
a
just
Twitter
can't-
war now.
He just can't keep a job, he gets fired, and then he ends up coming to your house for a while, and you're like, you hook him up with another job.
Right, right.
At the time, it was like you get another territory, like you get to rule thousands of people. It's like,
Right.
all right, I'll give you Wallachia, all right?
right.
Just get out of my house. Go fucking behead a bunch of people or impale them, whatever it is you do.
Hey, dude, just keep him out of there, will you?
Yeah. So this is his uncle. He attained the throne with Vladislav II's support. After Bogdan was murdered in October 1451, Bogdan's son Stephen fled to Transylvania with Vlad to seek assistance from Vladislav II. Have you guys been able to keep up with this? Because I'm barely
Nailing it.
able to. Vlad allegedly wanted to settle in Brozov, but Vladislav II forbade anyone to give him shelter. Vlad returned to Moldavia, where Alexandril had dethroned the current ruler.
What a shocker.
Power struggle.
Listen, the turnover in the ruler position is just so high.
It's Game of Thrones,
It's
dude.
so high.
It's
It's
Game
like-
of Thrones.
Dude, why would you even want to be ruler?
It's got to feel great, though, when you sit in that seat
Does it?
for a few minutes
Can you
before
imagine
somebody
the paranoia?
poisons you. Or
I'd be like an instant insomniac. I would not want to sleep
Right.
out of paranoia.
I agree.
There's always someone gunning for you.
Someone's
man.
going to be knocking at your castle walls soon enough.
I wouldn't want to eat because I'd be like, they poisoned this food. You know, I wouldn't want to walk outside. You want to get a fucking hatchet in your head or some
You
shit.
gotta watch Game of Thrones. I just thought of 2 different poisoning scenes in that movie. one girl in that show makes this douchebag eat his own daughters. Like she cooked them in a stew, in a pot pie, and he's eating them, and then she's wearing someone else's face, which he knows, and then she's basically tells him that that pie, you're eating your daughters, and then she kills him.
Jesus Christ.
She rips her the fake face off. It's dope. You gotta watch that show. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it.
Whoa.
That was I don't know what season. That was pretty early on. So if you haven't seen it,
Good.
That's on
Won't
your-
have
that's
to
on
wait
you.
long to see that.
right? The events of his life during the years that followed are unknown. It's assumed that Vlad returned to Hungary before July 3rd, 1456, because on that day, Vladislav II informed the townspeople of Brasov that he had tasked Vlad with the defense of the Transylvanian border. It's unknown how or when the two put aside their differences and decided to work together, but this is when Vlad goes into his second rule. He invaded Wallachia with the Hungarian support either in April, July, or August of 1456. Vladislav II died during the second invasion, and Vlad sent his first letter as a military commander of Wallachia to the citizens of Brasov on September 10th, 1456. He promised to protect them in case of an Ottoman invasion in Transylvania, but he also sought their assistance if the Ottomans occupied Wallachia. In the same letter, he stated that, quote, when a man or a prince is strong and powerful, he can make peace if he wants to. But when he is weak, a stronger one will come and do what he wants to him, hinting at this authoritarian personality.
I think that was the motto.
That is how it is, though, right?
That was the motto then.
You could not be a weak leader back then.
Yeah.
You had to rule with fear, you know?
That was the way it was.
Yeah. And being that crazy and creating that kind of fear is actually what saved them from being completely engulfed by the Ottomans at one point with the 20,000 soldiers on stakes that we'll get to.
Yeah.
It kind of put them in their tracks like, we really want to do this? Do we really want to do this? We have to go through a few miles of our own men impaled on stakes before we can even go
like
to
3
battle.
kilometers.
That'll break your spirit a little bit.
3 kilometers.
Yeah.
And it was 1 kilometer wide.
They were all in like, what we're going to do?
Supposedly.
All in different stages of decomposition, impaled in different ways. Yeah, it's crazy shit. Multiple sources recorded that at least hundreds, if not thousands, of people were executed at Vlad's order at the beginning of his reign. That's a way to set precedent, you know, right away.
Mm-hmm.
Kill a bunch of people.
Right.
He began a purge of the aristocrats who had participated in the murder of his father and elder brother, or whom he is suspected as plotting against him.
Man, they just had to suspect you. That's it.
Yeah.
Back then, there's just, you don't even want to give an inkling that you're
Rumors
against
could
the
be deadly
freaking
as hell
king.
back then.
Yeah.
Rumors, a little
They
whisper
took
in the
that
ear,
shit.
someone's getting beheaded real quick.
There were so many players behind the scenes,
Yeah.
man.
Vlad quickly effected a great change on the economy of Wallachia by granting money, property, and various goods that had belonged to his victims to other citizens he favored. Yeah, so he killed a bunch of the upper echelon aristocrats in Wallachia, and then he started, like, he won over the peasants in a lot of ways, and like the lower class, by giving out the goods of that, and then just getting rid of these upper echelon douchebags.
Right. If you have the support and the numbers of the peasants, you're in pretty good shape then. I mean, and also they're not rich enough to have any kind of rebellion.
Yeah.
So
the various lists of the members of the council during Vlad's reign also show that only 2 of them were able to retain their positions between 1457 and 1461. That's not many. He got rid of the rest, I guess.
yeah, pretty
So
quick. Clean
let's
house.
go into the conflict with the Saxons. After Vladislav II died on August 11th, 1456, his elder son, Ladislas Hunyadi, became the captain general of Hungary. He accused Vlad of having, quote, no intention of remaining faithful to the king of Hungary. He urged the people to support Vladislav II's brother, Dan III, against Vlad. A civil war broke out in Hungary, and Vlad assisted Stephen, son of Borgan II of Moldavia, in his move to seize Moldavia in June 1457. Vlad also broke into Transylvania and plundered the villages around Brasov and Sibiu. The earliest German stories about Vlad recounted that he carried men, women, children from a Saxon village to Wallachia and had them impaled.
Yeah, that's another theory about all the information you find on Vlad is that the oldest things and the most common are written in German who would not have a good picture
of
who
who he
Vlad
was.
was. Yeah.
They only saw the bad shit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, because he's, you know, burned, pillaged their villages and things like that. It just doesn't sit well with the community when you do that sort of thing.
Right.
And
That's like kind of the thing about ancient history is like you hear usually a few sources and they all have their own take on it for a reason. Like they're biased.
Yeah, they're putting their spin on it.
So like you'll hear writings from like Alexander the Great, and of course he's writing his own story, and making it sound tremendous, and then you hear the other side and it makes him sound terrible. So you're trying to like read
yours,
between the
mine,
lines.
and the truth type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Ladislas Hunyadi's younger brother, Matthias Corvinus, was elected king of Hungary on January 24th, 1458. He ordered the nobles of Sibiu to keep the peace with Vlad in March 1458. In May, Vlad asked the nobles of Brasov to send craftsmen to Wallachia, but his relationship with the Saxons deteriorated before the end of the year. According to scholars, conflict emerged after Vlad forbade the Saxons to enter Wallachia, forcing them to sell their goods to Wallachian merchants at compulsory border fairs.
Oh, that's dirty.
Right. The
Dirty.
Saxons then confiscated some steel that Wallachian merchant had brought it in at one point of the borders fairs without repaying the money they had spent to them. In response, Vlad, quote, ransacked and tortured, and most likely impaled some Saxon merchants and their families. Matthias Corvinus, king of Hungary, supported Dan III, or Vladislav II's brother, against Vlad. Dan III stated that Vlad had Saxon merchants and their children impaled and burnt alive in Wallachia.
Yikes. But I wonder, but Dan III would have said anything to get Vlad's brother on his side.
Interesting election campaigns they got going on where it's like,
Yeah.
he impaled a bunch of children. I got to be better than that.
Well, the Italian, he impaled a bunch of children.
I try to drive in my Romanian accent, but it's tough.
Oh, okay.
Dracul. Okay. Dracul. He impaled a bunch of people. I don't know, man. Shit.
Dracula approved this message.
Dan III broke into Wallachia, but Vlad defeated and executed him before April 22nd, 1460. Vlad then invaded southern Transylvania and destroyed the suburbs of Brasov, ordering the impalement of every single man and woman who had been captured. During ensuing negotiations, Vlad demanded the expulsion of punishment of all Wallachian refugees from Brasov. Peace had been restored by July 26, 1460, when Vlad addressed the nobles of Brasov and his brothers and friends.
He's like, that's pretty much everyone who has surrendered.
Right.
I like how it says, peace had been restored.
Right.
Yeah, peace had been restored out of straight fear. It's everyone else that didn't want to get fucking on a stake.
Yeah, peace is a interesting concept back then because
Yeah.
there's no real peace.
No, it
There's
was
just-
peace by fear only.
And how long would it last? Like now,
Yeah.
if we have peace, it could last decades, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, but back then it was like a week, and then it's back to war again. They
It
don't
was
know
like-
anything else.
it's like
That's all they do.
You just stay peaceful with someone until you're strong enough that you think you can take them.
Right. If you've ever played like Age of Empires or any of those games, they're really fun.
It's the same
to,
idea.
to do the same type of shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll like you even like go into like peace treaties with people and stuff, but you're like, yeah, I think you're a little stronger than me right now. I'm gonna build up a little bit more. So yeah, let's have peace for now.
Yeah, let's have-
that works for me. But if you feel stronger, you're like, fuck you, I'm coming in, bitch.
So maybe we're not so far removed
you
from this.
instantly become
mentality.
tyrannical when you play those games, dude. My favorite is Civilization. That game is so
Yeah.
awesome. You build up your own you could pick like the Roman Empire, or you could pick the Greeks,
Yeah.
or the America, whatever, and then you try to get like technologies faster than other people. So you're like bombing dudes with spears and shit. It's awesome. Awesome game. So the Ottoman War. It was recorded that Vlad refused to pay homage to the Ottoman Sultan. Another historian wrote that Vlad had failed to pay tribute to the Sultan for 3 years in a row. This would have been a grave insult at the time. Vlad tried to, because they were much bigger, and so you kind of had to.
Yeah.
It was like the mafia. You had to pay them, or else pay the consequences.
Exactly.
And he's saying, "Fuck you."
What are you gonna do if we don't?
Yep. Vlad tried to start new negotiations with Matthias Corvinus of Hungary, but the Sultan was soon informed by his spies. An envoy was sent ordering Vlad to come to Constantinople. Secret instructions were then sent to the Bay of Nicopolis to capture Vlad after he crossed the Danube. However, Vlad had his people as well, and he found out about the Sultan's plan and captured both the Bey and the Sultan's envoy and had them executed. Yeah, so he was waiting
Sounds
for
like
their
we have a
ambush.
spy.
You had your ambush. I know about your ambush. I got my
Yeah.
own ambush now, motherfuckers.
Right. I'm gonna ambush your ambush.
I'm gonna ambush your ambush.
Right. Make a bunch of shish kebabs out
It's
of
a
your
good
asses.
T-shirt. I'm gonna ambush your ambush.
Yeah.
Sounds sexual.
You just gotta be first.
Doesn't that not sound sexual?
A little
Gonna
bit.
ambush your ambush.
A little bit. I think it's because you're saying bush so much.
I know. It's a lot of
Yeah.
bush there.
Yeah.
Vlad continued to invade the Ottoman Empire, devastating the villages along the Danube. In a letter to Matthias Corvinus, he stated that more than 23,884 Turks and Bulgarians had been killed at his order during the campaign, many of them ending up on stakes to later be displayed. Having learned of Vlad's invasion, the Sultan raised an army of more than 150,000 strong that was said to be second in size only to the one that occupied Constantinople in 1453. The Ottoman fleet landed at the only Wallachian port in the Danube. In May, the main Ottoman army crossed the Danube under the command of the Sultan on June 4th, 1462, and this is when we get to see these. He doesn't play by your normal rules of war, man. Vlad, he plays by his own set.
He knew how to set a scene.
He has some tax. He knows that he's overwhelmed by the Ottoman Empire.
Right.
He knows that they're if they just go to try and fight them in a normal battle out in a field, it's not gonna go his way.
Right.
So he's gonna do a bunch of dirty tactics to try and break their spirit.
Some intense scare tactics.
Yeah. Outnumbered, Vlad decided to adopt a scorched earth policy and retreated. You can also do that in Civilization. You can burn like fertile like farmlands and stuff and like burn their territories. If you don't want to take over the city, if you don't want to take on the burden of it, you just burn the shit. Yeah, so he decided to adopt a scorched earth policy. He retreated. During the night of June 16th through 17th, 1462, Vlad broke into the Ottoman camp to capture or kill the Sultan. He actually dresses like them, goes into their camp, finds which one the Sultan is staying in, like his tent.
Right.
And plans to come back that night with two of his army split in two and attack their camp at night because they were ordered by the Sultan to stay in their tents at night,
right?
Just to prevent chaos in case of an attack, which allowed him to just kind of casually walk through and try and figure out where the Sultan was.
That's ballsy to do this himself.
Unfortunately,
it really speaks to his character and how bad he wanted this.
Right, it does.
It really does. Like it's easy to order people impaled all the time, but.
Well, it was drilled into him from the time he was a boy by his father and by everyone in Romania and Wallachia that it was.
From what we know, his father seemed like a very honorable man.
Yeah, I mean, he fought for the Crusaders, for Christianity, for what their people.
I mean, for their time. Yeah,
everyone was fighting for their people and their culture, and that's.
But what I'm saying is, like he showed mercy even upon conquering. He wasn't impaling everyone. I mean, he was merciful and honorable for that time, which by today's standards would be like Jesus Christ still, but. You know what I'm trying to say,
right?
Vlad took it to another level.
Yeah, Vlad may have picked up some things from some of his travels through time. He may have picked up some torture tactics.
Well, I mean, he was half raised by the Ottomans themselves.
Yeah, and he may have picked up some torture tactics from them. And I don't know, everybody was pretty evil back then. That's all we know. Unfortunately, the Wallachians chose the wrong tent, not the one with the Sultan in it. They thought they knew, but they didn't. They picked the wrong one.
He went to the bathroom.
They attacked the tents. Yeah. What did a bathroom look like back then? A hole in the ground?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the Wallachians chose the wrong tent and attacked the tents of some high-ranking officials instead of the Sultan. Having failed, Vlad and his men left the Ottoman camp at dawn. The Sultans entered the town of Targoviste. At the end of June, the entire town had been deserted, but the Ottomans were horrified to discover a forest of the impaled. This is what we kept alluding to, was the 20,000 Ottoman soldiers and just Ottoman people in general.
Right.
The town was filled with thousands of stakes impaled with the bodies of people Vlad had executed. The Sultan's army entered the area with stakes, which was over 10,000 feet long and 4,000 feet wide.
It's like roughly 1 kilometer by 3 kilometers.
The stakes were very large, and it was said about 20,000 men, women, and children had been impaled. There were even infants affixed to their mothers on stakes, and birds had made nests in the entrails.
Dude, that's brutal.
Yeah, so like we said, different states of decomposition as well. Some were like basically skeletons. They'd been up there so long. Some were pretty fresh.
This is the complete disregard
Imagine
for like
this
we were
image.
referring to. Like this is just to make a point. This is just a bluff.
This is why I love history, because it's just so hard to imagine that this really happened, but it did. I mean, to an extent. Obviously, there's a lot of reading between the lines, and you're getting different writings and whatnot. But
right.
This is pretty much corroborated on several different sources that this is pretty much what happened. Like the Ottomans didn't have any reason to lie about this.
Yeah, unfortunately, this was in everything I could find.
Yeah, dude,
This was
20,000
very
people
consistent.
staked up,
Yeah.
like for what did it say, 4,000, 10,000 feet long. So how many
Yeah.
feet are in a mile again?
5,280.
So just about 2 miles.
Yeah,
2 miles of
that's incredible.
dead bodies impaled, and the
Incredibly
impaling that
awful.
we haven't even talked about the way that he would impale. It was not always done quickly. They were not always done. It was most of the time done with a dull stick, not a sharp one, in order
Right.
to not pierce anything vital. He wanted you to suffer over a couple days. It would a
Yep.
lot of times take up to 2 days to die. It would be a rounded end stick, and you'd be basically all of your weight would be sitting. It would go up
Right.
your anus, your vagina, or in your navel.
Right.
And it would take, hours and hours and hours for you to die. You'd just be slowly being impaled. And so, one of the worst ways you can imagine to die. He also killed people via fire. There was one point I'm sure we'll get into in the story where he killed
Oh, you're talking about
feel like-
how he cleansed poverty from his town?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in the crime line, but I guess we'll just talk about it right now.
Yeah, why not?
In one point during his rule of Wallachia, he got tired of seeing poverty. He's got tired of seeing poor people with their hands out asking for money.
Right. Well, I think poverty was more of a threat back then too, and I think there was more pressure on him at this point. I don't think like he just one day was like, I'm tired of walking past all these homeless people. I think there was a lot of pressure because the homeless also carried a lot more diseases and things like that because just infections. They couldn't be clean.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think there was like more pressure on him to take this drastic measure. Not trying to justify it or anything.
Yeah,
but
there's no justifying.
there's no
this.
justifying this at
Very
all.
Game of Thrones esque scene here.
I
Where
just don't think he's the only one that came up with this idea. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, yeah, it was medieval times, so I wouldn't imagine.
I think
I'd
he
imagine
had
maybe one of his.
I think the council may have voted for this.
Yeah.
Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah. Well, different time, as we mentioned.
Yeah.
Medieval times back then. One of the ways they thought of to take care of the poverty problem and the beggars was to collect them all up for a nice meal in a large wooden barn
Yep.
away from town, feed them a nice meal, and then lock up the doors to this big wooden barn and set it ablaze. And they burned all of them. Not a single person got out.
Nope.
And I believe it was like thousands, right? Or at least hundreds
Yeah.
of people. So, yeah, you can imagine that scene. It's much like something from Game of Thrones. The Sultan was amazed and said that he could not deprive his country of a man who had done such great deeds, who had such a diabolical understanding of how to govern his realm and its people. He also said that a man who had done such things was worth a great deal. Now, this is his response to seeing 2 miles of impaled human beings, a lot of them children. So the Sultan was impressed enough that he was like, you know what? I think, why would we go take over this guy and kill him when it seems like he's doing a great job over here? That's essentially what the Sultan is saying. He's like, I don't know if I could do a better job myself. Look at all these bodies.
He's actually admiring the work.
He is. He is. That's that. Now, tell me that Vlad didn't learn something from being raised in their empire for a
He
little while.
had
There,
to have
right?
been.
He did.
He learned everything from them. Why was his brother and the other ones so much different?
Yeah.
The ones that were raised, in the
Ottoman.
not the Ottomans.
In the Vlachian
Yeah, in
Empire.
the Vlachian Empire.
True. Yeah.
He was so much different.
The main Ottoman army left Wallachia, but Vlad's brother Radu and his Ottoman troops they stayed behind. Radu sent messengers to the Wallachians, reminding them that the Sultan could again invade their country. Although Vlad defeated Radu and his Ottoman allies in 2 battles during the following months, more and more Wallachians deserted to Radu. Vlad, so this is that moment we're talking
Dude,
about where
they
the
didn't
brothers,
want to get impaled.
the brothers, they
was-
went different directions early on after
Yeah.
they were held captive by the Ottomans, and Radu stayed with them. Vlad goes back to Wallachia to protect Christianity and all that.
Yeah.
And now you have this like head-to-head clash of brothers where it's like Radu and the Ottomans, and you got Vlad and the Wallachians and the Romans.
Right, but at this time, Vlad is doing a lot of shit to test his own army and his own supposed
Prowess.
loyal people. The more time they're at peace here, at this quote unquote peace, I think the more paranoid he's getting. And he's doing things and testing people close to him. If they don't pass these little tests that he's putting them
Killing
through,
them.
he's impaling them or torturing them and their families.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't people go to Radu? I mean, this is somebody who is still a part of the Ottoman Empire, is still a part of the biggest power.
Yeah.
But they're a peaceful ruler. I mean, why wouldn't you want to be around them?
No, I can see that. Yeah. It's not, you're always afraid of being impaled. So that'll
Exactly.
drive you to the other side real quick, because at least they're not going to impale me.
Right.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Whereas Vlad, if you just kind of look at him wrong with those piercing green eyes, you might just, you'd look good on a steak.
Well, at least his eyes move slow so you can dodge him. You can be like, oh, he's coming my way. He's coming my way. Oh,
Bro, I feel like he's looking at someone, and then when you feel those slow, calculated eyes turn towards you, he's just picturing you on a steak. When
Already?
he's talking to you, he sees what would
Yeah.
he look like on a steak.
and then his eyes slowly drift above where you are.
Yo,
Right?
you're like, oh god, he's seeing me
Oh,
being
shit.
raised up
Oh,
right
damn
now.
it. Vlad, what are you
shit.
looking at?
Right?
What are you? Hey, Vlad, I'm down here. Vlad.
Vlad, remember that time that you liked me? Let's stay over there. Vlad withdrew to the Carpathian Mountains, hoping that Matthias Corvinus would help him regain his throne, which had now been taken by Radu. However, someone had already recommended that Corvinus and the Saxons recognize Radu. So pretty much everyone's kind of behind his brother now.
Yeah, let's go to Radu.
Radu also made an offer to the nobles of Brasov to confirm their commercial privileges and pay them a compensation of 15,000 ducats. So yeah, that's another thing. The Ottoman, a lot of money. They can
I mean, I guess.
Keep people satisfied.
15,000 ducats. I mean, it sounds
And
like
you will
a
not
lot.
be impaled as well. That's also a good bonus.
Yeah. It's like 15,000 ducats.
What's a ducat in dollars today?
And anti-impalement healthcare. Sounds like, where do I sign?
Right. To give you an idea of how much money that was, as of 1913, a single ducat was valued at about $2. Inflation from 1913 to today then puts 15,000 ducats at about $775,000.
Okay, that's a lot of ducats, man.
Thank you for that detail, Sarah, the crime line writer.
Hell yeah,
That
I'd
is
love to
very
have
good, 'cause
15,000
we literally were
ducats.
wondering that before it popped up on here.
Right.
That's good money, bro. Jesus, that'll buy you a castle or two, right?
Yeah, or two, man, for sure.
I wonder what a castle cost back then. I wonder, like, did the market crash sometimes on castles?
They probably cost like 2,000.
I'm so upside down on this castle.
No, I bet they're about
You know how many ducats I owe on this thing?
they're about 2,000 ducats. I think will buy you a good castle.
Damn mortgage is 15 ducats a month. This is ridiculous.
Turn off them damn candles. You're running up the propane bill's at 30 ducats. Whatever they use.
Yeah.
Fucking natural gases, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So Matthias Corvinus came to Transylvania in November 1462. The negotiations between Corvinus and Vlad lasted for weeks, but Corvinus did not want to wage war against the Ottoman Empire. At the king's order, a Czech mercenary commander captured Vlad in Wallachia. So basically, everyone's just kind of cool with the Ottomans ruling things. It's just easier.
They kind of have to be.
It's easier. Vlad makes things difficult for them. They might be killed by the Ottomans at any moment when they finally overtake them, or they might just get impaled by Vlad if he's not feeling them at the moment.
Right.
And so it's just easier. I think everyone's thinking about their personal safety at this point, and it's kind of like, yeah, let's let the Ottomans rule. It's all good. They're not so bad, right?
Right.
To provide an explanation for Vlad's imprisonment to Pope Pius II, or Pius, and the Venetians, Corvinus presented 3 letters allegedly written by Vlad on November 7th, 1462, to the Sultan Mahmud Pasha and Stefan of Moldavia. According to the letters, Vlad offered to join his forces with the Sultan's army against Hungary if the Sultan restored him to his throne. Most historians agree that the documents were forged to give grounds for Vlad's imprisonment. Corvinus, court historian, admitted that the reason for Vlad's imprisonment was never explained. Vlad was the first imprisoned in the city of Belgrade, now Alba Iulia in Romania. Before long, he was taken into Visegrad, where he was held for 14 years. Now, once again, apologize for all the probable mispronunciations going on with all these countries.
Most likely mispronunciations.
Yeah. No documents referring to Vlad between 1462 and 1475 still exist today. So it's kind of like a lost time. We don't really know what, we know he's in captivity. Don't really know what he's up to in the summer of 1475 now. But
well, I mean,
thinking at this point, he's probably done being ruler of Wallachia, but he does have another short stint as ruler of Wallachia again. He gets it back. He's kind of just.
Well, I mean, we don't hear anything when he was in prison, right?
No.
It's just that's why we don't hear anything. I mean, why would we? And if we didn't hear anything at all, then that would lead me even more to think that those previous letters were forged. You know what I mean? Because if he was writing at the beginning, why would he stop writing? I mean, I feel like he would still want to reach out to somebody.
What else you got to do?
Exactly.
In the summer of 1475, Stephen III of Moldavia sent his envoys to Matthias Corvinus, asking him to send Vlad to Wallachia. According to the Slavic stories about Vlad, he was eventually only released after he converted to Catholicism. So let's talk about his third rule and his eventual death. Matthias Corvinus recognized Vlad as the lawful prince of Wallachia, but he did not provide him the military assistance to regain his territory.
Of course not.
Thanks, bro. So
well, I mean, they had you by the balls. I mean, at least they gave you your freedom. What else are they going to give you? You think they're going to arm you so you can freaking take them over?
Yeah. Vlad settled in a house in the town of Pest. When a group of soldiers broke into the house while pursuing a thief who had tried to hide there, Vlad had their commander executed because they had not asked his permission before entering the home.
That's fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
Vlad moved to Transylvania in June of 1475. He wanted to settle in Sibiu and sent his envoy to the town in early June to arrange a house for him. Eventually, he bought a house in Pécs that became known as Draculaháza, or Dracula's house in Hungarian.
Oh, wow. That's magical.
How original, bro.
Yeah, really?
In January 1476, the military commander of Transylvania urged the people of Brasov to send Vlad all of his supporters who had settled in the town because Corvinus and the man currently running Wallachia had signed a treaty. Corvinus dispatched Vlad and the Serbian Vuk Grevecic to fight against the Ottomans in Bosnia in early 1476. They captured several fortresses in February and March of 1476. The Sultan invaded Moldavia and defeated Stephen III on July 26, 1476. Bathory, Stephen Bathory. Remember Elizabeth Bathory?
Oh, how could we forget?
This is a member of her family. She was in the same area like, a little bit later, right? Like when was Elizabeth Bathory?
She's 1500s.
Yeah, so not long after this.
It's about 100 years
for
later.
sure, like an uncle or somebody.
Definitely.
Stephen Bathory and Vlad entered Moldavia, forcing the Sultan to stop the siege of a fortress in late August, according to a letter written by Matthias Corvinus. Matthias Corvinus ordered the Transylvanian Saxons to support Bathory, planned an invasion of Wallachia on September 6, 1476, also informing them that Stephen of Moldavia would also invade Wallachia. Bathory's forces captured the capital on November 8th. Stephen of Moldavia and Vlad ceremoniously have confirmed their alliance, and they captured Bucharest. Vlad informed the merchants of Brasov about his victory, urging them to come to Wallachia. He was crowned on November 26, 1476. So he's back. Basically, he teamed up with the right people at the right time. That's what we're saying. All this shit went down.
Timing.
The Bathories helped him, right?
Right.
Later, the crazy Elizabeth Bathory would be soaking in blood and whatnot.
Yeah.
Crazy time period. But yeah, he teamed up with the right people. They overthrew some shit. He ends up being the ruler of Wallachia once again, even after being captive for years. It looked like it was all over.
And now it's smooth sailing. Life is good. I probably won't get assassinated.
Yeah, no, this wasn't long after that.
Oh, damn. Oh, shit.
So the man that Vlad had ousted returned to Wallachia with Ottoman support, and Vlad died fighting against them in late December 1476 or early January 1477. So within a month or two, he was dead.
They just wanted him to get comfortable and let his fucking guard down.
Yeah.
They were what you're doing. They made a peace treaty until they got bigger than him.
Yeah,
he hadn't
even changed his like sheepskin sheets yet, or whatever they used back then.
Sheepskin.
Man, if the walls of these castles could
Persian
talk, right?
fur.
They just see like new rulers
Persian
come in constantly.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh, here's another one.
You
How
won't
long
be
do you think
around
he's
long.
gonna last? It's like, what do you think? It's like Beauty and the Beast. The fucking candlesticks are talking to each other and shit.
According to Leonardo Botta, the Milanese ambassador to Buda, the Ottomans cut Vlad's corpse into pieces. It has been written that Vlad's head was sent to the Sultan, and it was preserved in a honey jar. So they used honey.
I don't know how.
supposedly
I don't know if you could use the word preserved,
Right.
but it was kept in a honey jar.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
His head is now delicious after all those years of sitting in sweet,
just
sweet honey.
soaked in some honey. It's just,
I might try it.
you try that?
Yeah,
Try some
nice.
old Vlad head.
Try some
This is
ear.
Like 600 years old, something like that.
Some Vlad ear soaked in honey for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Sounds like a delicacy.
Does it?
You'd pay top dollar for that.
Yeah, probably. They probably would. There's probably people who would.
Yeah.
Just for make it like a candle out of it. You just put a little wick out on the top.
That's a thing with certain people, like the head cheese.
Right.
It's supposed to be pretty good. Like you soak a cow's head or you like boil it or whatever. Speaking of boiled, Vlad also, before we lose sight of this,
Yeah, come
one of
back
his
to
other
that. I
one
wanna
of his
talk
other
about this
tortured
head cheese.
methods, he supposedly boiled a person alive and fed them to someone else.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's very Game of Thrones. It's like what you just talked about.
Yeah.
So what about this cow head cheese?
Head cheese, you haven't heard of that?
No. What's going on with this?
So like in order to use every part of a cow,
Okay.
it's obviously not widespread. You don't get it at grocery stores and stuff, but you can get head cheese. It's
Yeah,
boiled.
probably like in Wisconsin. Or
They
something.
boil the head of the cow, and then the meat just kind of like falls off, and it's supposed to be really good.
And it's just the meat. There's no cheese.
Yeah, it's like the meat, like the cheeks, and all that.
But why are they calling it cheese though?
Because I think that's the texture. It becomes like a cheesy texture.
Oh.
Gross. Or Bill Burr. Gross.
So it's closer to the texture of cheese than it is
Yes,
meat,
yes.
but it's actually the meat.
But it's supposed to
in
be
the
pretty good.
face. Wouldn't that just be
It's like tuna fish.
primarily muscles? I feel like every time I've petted a cow, I've been like, damn, that's your skull, like right there.
Yeah, but there's
Right
parts where if you were to go like on your face, you got like your eye, like your eyebrows, like
Yeah.
very little meat there. But you go down a
Yeah.
little further onto your cheek, there's some meat in there, and it
Okay,
all adds
that's
up.
true.
If you were to boil it all, there'd be a certain
Like a
amount
cheese
of meat there.
like some face cheese.
Yeah,
I got you. Okay. All right, I buy it.
yeah.
I'd try it. I'd try it for sure.
Head cheese, guys.
Unknown delicacy.
All right, so let's wrap this up by talking about
Okay.
Vlad's reputation that was gained after his death, mainly his reputation for cruelty. Stories about Vlad's brutal acts began circulating during his lifetime. After his arrest, couriers of Matthias Corvinus promoted their spread. The German singer Michael Beam wrote a lengthy poem about Vlad's deeds, allegedly based on his conversations with a Catholic monk who had managed to escape from Vlad's prison. The poem, called, quote, Von einem Wutrich der Heist Trakel Wada von der Wallachie, or the story of a bloodthirsty madman called Dracula of Wallachia.
I was like, how long is this title? It just kept getting worse. I have no idea what.
That
I'm,
was
not,
a-
I'm not even gonna try. I think that was a
That was-
valiant effort.
That was obviously in German, and what it
Yeah.
meant was the story of a bloodthirsty madman called Dracula in Wallachia.
Okay.
Poem was performed at the court of Frederick III in the winter of 1463. According to one of Beheim's stories, Vlad had 2 monks impaled to assist them to go to heaven, also ordering the impalement of their donkey because it began braying after its master's death. So the donkey, being upset by its master being impaled in front of it, gets impaled as well.
Yeah. How dare that donkey?
Right? Just
Calm your ass down, donkey.
Poor loyal donkey.
Right. Jeez.
In 1475, Gabriele Rangoni, bishop of Eger, notes that Vlad had been imprisoned because of his cruelty. Rangoni also recorded the rumor while in prison Vlad caught rats to cut them up into pieces or stuck them on small pieces of wood because he was unable to, quote, forget his wickedness.
I don't know about that.
That sounds a little...
I don't know about that. I think they're just trying to really paint him in a bad way because they imprisoned him for no reason.
Not only did he impale humans, he impaled rats.
Yeah.
Antonio Bonfoni also recorded anecdotes about Vlad in his Historia Pannonica. Around 1495, Bonfoni tried to justify both the removal and the restoration of Vlad by Matthias Corvinus. He described Vlad as, quote, a man of unheard cruelty and justice. Turkish messengers came to Vlad to pay respects but refused to take off their turbans according to their ancient custom, whereupon he strengthened their custom by nailing their turbans to their heads with 3 spikes so that they could not take them off.
Yikes. Yeah, he wasn't what you would say tolerant of anyone
of other cultures
or views or anybody.
Right.
Yeah. He did all that just to make a point, man.
Yeah, that's
He
a
was just
crazy
over the
story,
top.
man. They refuse to remove their turbans, so he nails them to their head.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some German stories. Works containing the stories about Vlad's cruelty were published in Low German in the Holy Roman Empire before 1480. The stories were allegedly written in the 1460s because they describe Vlad's campaign across the Danube in early 1462, but they do not refer to the Sultan's invasion of Wallachia in June of the same year. The stories about Vlad's plundering raids in Transylvania were clearly based on an eyewitness account because they contain accurate details, including the lists of the churches destroyed by Vlad and the dates of the raids.
That's kind of hard to argue.
Yeah, they describe Vlad as, quote, a demented psychopath, a sadist, a gruesome murderer, a masochist, worse than Caligula or Nero. However, the stories emphasizing Vlad's cruelty should be treated with caution because his brutal acts were probably exaggerated by the Saxons. The invention of movable type printing contributed to the popularity of the stories about Vlad, making them one of the first bestsellers in Europe. To enhance sales, they were published in books with woodcuts on their title pages that depicted horrific scenes. So,
Yeah,
like,
this became available.
early true crime pornography type shit.
Yeah. Pornography.
No,
type
maybe not
shit.
pornography.
No, not like that. I don't know. I guess some guys were probably into it.
Yeah.
But the invention of the movable type was about 20 years after his death. So it wasn't that
Basically
wasn't
like
that
a printing
long.
press,
There were
right?
plenty of writings available to be printed, although most of them German.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
all
this-
the ones in circulation at that time were German.
Yeah, so this Romanian, Wallachian sadist leader over there who's
Right.
impaling everybody is going to be good reading
Oh yeah.
by candlelight at night. It's going to get the heart racing.
I mean, you had to have content. You wanted to sell if you wanted to sell your paper or newsletter or whatever they.
And you know they were
advertised down
probably
then.
sensationalizing it even more, exaggerating
Absolutely, you have to.
sell some more papers.
Oh, absolutely.
For instance, the editions published in Nuremberg in 1499 and in Strasbourg in 1500 depict Vlad dining at a table surrounded by dead or dying people on poles. Vlad had a big copper cauldron built and put a lid made of wood with holes in it on top. He put the people in the cauldron and put their heads in the holes and fastened them there. Then he filled it with water and set a fire underneath it to let the people cry their eyes out until they were boiled to death. and then he invented frightening, terrible, unheard of tortures. He ordered that women be impaled together with their suckling babies in the same stake. The babies fought for their lives as the mother's on the mother's breast until they died. Then he had the women's breast cut off and put the babies inside head first. Thus, he had impaled them together.
Jesus.
That might be the worst shit we've ever read on this podcast.
That's probably the worst. That's absolutely the worst thing.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, we should put a warning before
We
that.
should definitely have warned you guys.
Here's a warning
that.
after that. That's rough. Don't rewind it.
Yeah. Don't listen again to that, but you already heard it. These stories may have influenced Martin Luther's Beowulf concept of a ruler who is worse than a tyrant and must be resisted by the people. Martin Luther, of course, part of the story I told you to go listen to, Prophets of Doom.
Prophets of Doom.
All about Martin Luther protesting against the Catholic Church, posting up those signs. That was about the time of the printing press came out, and he became huge for basically telling people that they can interpret the Bible for themselves.
Oh, big no-no, man.
It created chaos.
Well, to be fair, I mean,
that's where all these prophets started popping up.
The church did say, if you have any recommendations, pin it to the door. I mean, so he pinned them to the damn door.
They didn't mean like that, bro.
Oh.
They meant like, if you guys want to kiss our ass, post some shit up there. Otherwise, if you say anything else, we're going to definitely burn you at the stake. So,
yeah, that sounds like
mind your P's and Q's.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some Slavic stories when it pertains to Vlad the Impaler or Vlad Dracula.
Yeah, let's see what the Slavs think.
There are more than 20 manuscripts written between the 15th and 18th centuries which preserve the text called The Tale About Military Commander Dracula. These stories are longer than the German stories about Vlad. They are a mixture of fact and fiction, according to historians. Almost half of the anecdotes emphasize Vlad's brutality, but they also underline that his cruelty enabled him to strengthen the central government in Wallachia. That's a good point. I was talking to you about this before this case. A lot of historians say, well, you know, he's so famous now because of just timing with the printing press and whatnot, because he was so cruel.
Right.
But like, he really played a small role in Eastern European politics in that time period, and wasn't that big of a player and all that stuff. But when you hear the story of how he defended Wallachia against the Ottoman Empire, and how he turned around the Sultan by those 20,000 bodies on stakes and everything, they probably would have been engulfed by the Ottoman Empire at that junction had he not done that. And who knows where that part of the world would be? Would Romania even exist? I don't know. I don't know shit about this. You know, obviously,
right? We're just speculating here.
Yeah, I'm not a historian, but it does seem like he did a lot, and I think he deserves the credit, the press that he got.
I think he had a great presence
He was cruel in a time where he had to be cruel, but maybe more cruel than he had to be. I'll just say that. He was extremely cruel, impaling babies. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that is
even
awful.
for medieval times. That's over the top.
How do you think the people? Of Wallachia even knew about this kind of stuff? You think they knew about this stuff right away, or you think they just kind of turned a blind eye because, well, it keeps us safe, it grows our economy?
I think they were used to cruelty. Yeah, I don't think it was. He was like, well, it's not me, you know. And as long as
better
it's helping,
than us type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Okay. Yeah, he probably did have a really strong presence there.
Some stories did sharply criticize Vlad for his conversion to Catholicism, attributing his death to the church. A hero? The Cannacuzino Chronicle was the first Romanian historical work to record a tale about Vlad the Impaler, narrating his impalements of aristocrats in response to the murder of his brother Dan. Most Romanian artists have regarded Vlad as a just ruler and a realistic tyrant who punished criminals and executed unpatriotic aristocrats to strengthen the central government. The poet Dimitri Polinitau emphasized Vlad's triumphs in his battles at the Romanians in the middle of the 19th century. He regarded Vlad as a reformer whose acts of violence were necessary to prevent the despotism of the aristocrats. Since the middle of the 19th century, Romanian historians have treated Vlad as one of the greatest Romanian rulers, emphasizing his fight for the independence of the Romanian lands. Even Vlad's acts of cruelty were often represented as rational acts serving national interest. According to the opinion poll conducted in 1999, 4.1% of the participants chose Vlad the Impaler as one of, quote, the most important historical personalities who have ever influenced the destiny of the Romanians for the better. Not a high percentage?
I was about to say, only 4%. That's not a very good approval.
I'm sure they
rating.
had other great Romanian leaders to choose from, though, you know. But like they're saying, essentially saying, like, definitely not bad. They're saying he's in the upper echelon of Romanian historical figures.
Okay.
And one of the big reasons why we're still around.
I mean, 4%. How many people? I mean, if 100 people, only 4 people
Yeah.
out of 100 random people thought
And
that he
those
was.
people.
And yeah, and
I
how
want
many?
to take a look at him.
Right, when they did the survey, like how many?
I love how he
how many
staked
rulers
everyone
did
up.
they
That was
have
cool.
to list? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a lot of factors.
We don't
into
know
this
Romanian
survey.
history very
Yeah.
much, so who knows who else.
We don't
they
know how
have,
the
but-
survey was taken. It's you gotta look into the data.
Let's wrap this up by talking a little bit of vampire mythology. The stories about Vlad made him the best-known medieval ruler of the Romanian lands in Europe. However, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which was published in 1897, was the first book to make a connection between Dracula and vampirism. Stoker had his attention drawn to the blood-sucking vampires of Romanian folklore by an article about Transylvanian superstitions, which was published in 1885. Stoker apparently did not know much about Vlad the Impaler, definitely not enough for most historians to feel comfortable saying that Vlad was the inspiration for Count Dracula. The main source for Stoker's story described Vlad as a wicked man. However, the working papers for his book contain no references to Vlad. It's more likely that Stoker borrowed the name and scraps of miscellaneous information about the history of Wallachia when writing his book about Count Dracula.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of artists do this where they take, a little bit over here, a little bit over there, and they make one awesome concoction like Dracula.
Yeah,
The
or like
blood-sucking
Old
vampire.
Town Road.
Old Town Road. Got my horses in the bag. You guys thought it was over, didn't you?
Oh, it came back.
I got my horses in the bag.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good way to wrap this up.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Old Town Road is
There you
a
go.
proper way to end.
It's a better
Vlad
way
the
to
Impaler,
end.
of course.
I mean, it's better. Yeah, it's better than ending with impaling,
right.
which no one wants to end there, figuratively or literally.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that was fun, man. I love going back to medieval times, don't you guys?
It's so shocking. It's just so shocking.
The music is so perfect. You can't hear that music without just picturing castles and people being beheaded and
I just picture vampires like raising up out of the casket,
right.
and it's just like
Have you
lightning.
guys watched
it's like a lightning thunderstorm
Have
outside.
you guys watch What We Do in the Shadows yet? God, it's so funny. The movie's funny. The show's
Yeah.
pretty funny from what I've seen.
I've seen a couple
but the
episodes of
movie
the show.
is just epic.
The movie is perfect.
Yeah.
It's
so good.
That's everything you need right there.
Yeah, it's so good. All right. That was Vlad the Impaler, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you were able to follow along for the most part. You don't need to understand the whole full history
listen.
of Eastern Europe and medieval times. Just know it was a power struggle. Some people stuck out a little more than others. Pun intended.
Oh, but oops.
And he was one of them. Vlad the Impaler. His legend will live on for his cruelty and also perhaps his important role that he played for Romania, and may have maybe a reason for why it still exists, or a large reason for why it's still around. Is his cruelty scared off the incoming Ottomans trying to take over?
Yeah, he bought him some time.
He bought him some time by impaling 20,000 people, guys.
Right. That's a lot of time bought.
It's hard for your brain to get over that. It's hard to continue on your fight
2
against
miles.
a person when you see that.
2 miles, man.
There was a scene from Game of Thrones much like that. A lot of bodies up on stakes, and you have to keep going past them and past them and past them. The slavers did that to send a message to Daenerys, I believe, at one point.
Man, they definitely got that idea from Vlad, huh?
For sure. They took a lot of inspiration from Vlad as well
Yeah.
as Bram Stoker. All right, that's
All
it,
right.
guys. Let's do some shout-outs. Let's
How about we do some sponsors?
sponsors like, oh my God, why do my
Yeah,
pits smell
like,
so good? Because
oh
I got
my
True
God.
Crime Pine on.
Oh, or do you?
Today is a True Crime Pine day.
Is it? I got Egyptian musk on today, actually. I just can't get over that Egyptian musk, man. I'm hooked on it right now. If you don't know what we're talking about Oh My Gaia. Oh My Gaia is an innovative, all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. Their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while maintaining effectiveness. At Oh My Gaia, they use only all-natural paraben and aluminum-free organic ingredients. They have a ton of scents like we already referred to. I'm wearing Egyptian musk, and we have our very own scent called True Crime Pine that has our old school podcast logo on the sticker. It's pretty dope. It's got our headshots on there. And there's a ton of other scents.
That scent is untraceable. It will help you get away with murder.
That's
if
true.
You need to kill someone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not saying do it for the thrill. We're saying
Right. Like scent dogs, they can't even smell it. They're like, what is this, just a pine forest? I don't know.
right.
Yeah, they have no idea. Okay, but if that's not for you, there's tons of other scents. There's vanilla, cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, coconut, dreamsicle, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle.
Lumberjack is my huge. That's usually what I wear.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Fireside. That's another one of my favorites. But if you guys are interested in trying it out, you can use our code CREEPER, CREEPER, for 15% off at ohmygaia.com, OHMYGAIA.com, or at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram. All right. I also want to give my wife's business a shout out. It's Mojave High Creations on Instagram, at Mojave High Creations. And she also has an Etsy store where she makes custom, mostly women's clothing. But she's working on like some tank tops and some beanies and gloves and shit for the winter, or in the fall. So she's going to have a lot of stuff coming. It's all handmade.
She's going to have a code word for the creepers?
There already is one. That's what I was going to get to. And I left it out of the last podcast.
Oh, shit.
But it is code CREEPER.
Fuck yeah.
On her Etsy store, etsy.com/Mojave High Creations. And you can use the code CREEPER for 15% off. And, maybe if you tell her you're a fan of the podcast, maybe she'll give you a better discount.
Definitely tell her you're a fan of the Codpask.
Definitely of the Codpask.
No, you guys are some creative people, man. I love it. I go out there to your spot out in the desert, and you guys got all kinds of stuff painted out there. And you guys that's cool, man. Like Michael and his family are always doing artsy stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, we got to, man.
They're not sitting around just playing video games all day. A lot of families, like they're creating stuff. Yeah, man. We gotta appreciate that.
We do it, man. The kids appreciate it. They really do. Like they don't like it at first, but it's shit that they remember.
Oh yeah,
they remember that stuff.
We've talked about it before. Doing playing video games is fun in the moment. It's one of those things that's fun in the moment, but you're not building yourself up, and you're not creating memories necessarily.
Exactly. All right, man.
I got some shout-outs, some specific shout-outs for some people this week.
Okay.
I want to say what's up to the True Crime Recaps podcast. They wanted to do a promo swap. We don't really do promo swaps, but I definitely checked out their show. It's good. Go check out True Crime Recaps podcast. I told them I'd give them a shout-out instead.
I think you just did a promo swap.
There you go. I want to say what's up to Zach Dysinger. He said he would love to have a shout-out for his newborn son, Oliver, who was just born on May 30th at 3:42. He wants to show his wife that the money is worth sending for great. So basically, he's a Patreon, and he wants to show his wife that it's worth the money he's sending because they got a shout-out for their new son. So
that's not going to be enough to convince her.
Welcome, new creeper, Oliver.
New creeper. All right.
Hell yeah. So, yeah, what's up, guys?
Welcome to the world, bro.
Zach, Oliver, and mother of Oliver. Shout out.
Right. Who was a former doubter, but now a believer in true crime guys.
Yeah. Germ Pen on Instagram hit us up, asked how they could leave a review because they don't have iTunes or they don't have Apple. And we told them to try Stitcher. And then they commented back. They said, hey, guys, how the hell do you leave a review on Stitcher? I don't fucking see where to do it. I could probably Google it, but would rather hear you tell us on the podcast. Keep up the good work. This is my review. Copy, paste it.
Okay, great. Do you have a Stitcher account?
You know what? It's not easy anymore. I feel like they changed it.
Go to it. Let's go to it.
I feel like they changed it.
I don't have a Stitcher account, and every time I go on there, you can't look at reviews, you can't look at anything. That's why we don't do Stitcher reviews hardly ever.
Yeah, it used to be easier, and I feel like I was trying to find our reviews so we could give people a shout out, but yeah, they've made it hard, man. I don't know what's going on over there.
Come on, Stitcher.
Also, Stitcher, I'm not shitting on you if you use Stitcher and you like Stitcher. That's cool. It seems like if you don't have the best phone service, like your streaming is not great on your phone, it works no matter what, but it's like AM radio quality. Like the sound quality takes a big hit when you listen on Stitcher. If you listen on Stitcher and then you go listen on iTunes, it's a measurable difference as far as like the quality. Way clearer on iTunes, on most podcast apps, to be fair. Stitcher seems to, I don't know whether they have low bandwidth or what's going on.
They're trading quality for speeds, what they're doing.
Yeah, I feel like that's true. Like if you have not great phone service and like maybe you skips a lot during our show because you're not streaming that great, maybe try Stitcher because it probably won't. Yeah. It probably won't cut out and everything.
Or you could just pre-download the episode.
We do have 34 reviews on Stitcher. Can't figure out how to look at them. Wait, there we go. There they are.
Hey, we can see them.
I'm dumb. It's really easy.
There
actually.
They are. How do you leave a review though? How do you leave one?
I think if you're logged in, it's just like allows you to leave a review. I don't know.
Okay.
Click on.
Well, there you go. If you're logged in, just leave one.
Yeah. Let's sort by the most recent. We got one from 6 days ago from Annie of Atlanta. Why are you not in New Orleans? So, yeah, she left a nice long review, 5 stars. Thank you very much. Pellegrin18, 11 days ago. Thank you. Huge fan of true crime and therefore I've listened to a lot of podcasts. Was looking for a new podcast to listen to. Just decided to try this one. And, oh, man, I'm glad I did. So, yeah, you get the gist of it. Thank you for that 5-star review. I want to thank Pocket Robin Tenley. says we're one of their favorites. And we got a 3-star. I'm not yelling at you, fellas. Just wanted to make you aware that referring to women as chicks is very antiquated. Oh, boy.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
What else do we got?
I mean, we're dudes, though, right?
Yeah, we're dudes.
A couple of dudes can call a
just a
chick a
couple of
chick. Is that all
dudes.
right with y'all?
It's
Just, I don't know, man.
all right. What else?
Dan and Carol says it's a great show. Lots of info without the gory details. Oh, this one would beg to differ. This
Whoa.
episode would beg to.
Yeah. You kind of went overboard with the gory details.
Yeah, Dan,
It's
you picked a bad episode for us to read that review. There's a lot of impaling in this one.
Like bullshit.
Yeah. And Amanda from Down Under. Thank you, Amanda from Australia, I'm assuming.
Thank you.
Thanks for the 5-star reviews. We have a 4.9 average.
That's bullshit, man. How's
on
that happen?
Stitcher, man. That's great. Well, that one 3-star because we said chicks.
No, I meant how's it that high?
Oh, you're right. You're right. You know what?
That's crazy.
All right, so we got some iTunes reviews since last week. Hit 1,000 and then just keep on trucking, man. We're already like 1,016 or some shit.
Oh yeah, we appreciate it, guys.
Thank you guys for taking the time to go do that. You don't even have to write a review if you don't feel like doing that.
No.
You can just go click 5 stars or you can write a review. We love to read those, like we said on the crapper. It's nice. When you got a couple of minutes downtime. Yeah.
It is my favorite part. The reviews are my favorite parts. Even the bad ones, I still like it. It's still exciting.
I want to thank DSK713 for your 5-star review. Blue Daisy Rose in Australia. Listening in Australia, just found you. Really enjoying your personalities and casual style. Thank you so much. And her name's Chrissy. So thank you, Chrissy. This person, Conkers, said, married but still in love with you two. 5-star.
Uh-oh.
Thank you. Brian and Andy, 5 stars, said we're hilarious and creepy. Thank you. And Jana in Arizona.
Thanks for that backhanded compliment.
5-star review. Awesome. Oh, hilarious and creepy. Right? All right. Yeah. So thank you guys for taking the time to do that, like we said. And also go check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/truecrimeguys. Bunch of bonus content on there, bunch of episodes you haven't heard, and you won't be able to hear for another 2 years unless you
That's right.
pledge $2 a month, gets you all this shit. And it gets you in the monthly drawing to win anything from our store. It gets you Michael's bonus show, Higher Thoughts with Michael.
Yep. That's
and
me.
he puts some
hosting it.
time into that show, and I love it. It's fun. It's just Michael hanging out in a higher state of mind, if you catch our drift.
Yeah, sometimes I have my wife on there.
We're trying to get
Sometimes
Esther
Lauren's on
from
there.
Once Upon a Crime on there.
Oh, I'm gonna have her on there.
Someone from on Twitter, listeners of our shows, basically said
Jeff
said that Michael needs to have Esther on.
That's right. That was a great idea, Jeff.
Esther says it sounds like she's down for it. She can't get in a quote unquote higher state of mind, but she said she can drink some whiskey. So that'd be fun to hear Esther off the cuff drinking whiskey,
That's right.
hanging out with Michael.
We'll start the conversation at like 3 or 4 shots deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'll make sure she pre-games.
I would love to hear that. So definitely keep pressuring Esther to make that happen.
Right.
And check out Once Upon a Crime podcast for sure. One of the best out there.
Absolutely.
What else? Follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, at True Crime Guys. Check out our Facebook page, True Crime Guys on there. We have a closed group run by Michelle K that you can go be a part of.
And
You
Chris
just wanna-
Sharp as well.
Can't get enough True Crime Guys talk and you just want to hang out with other creepers on there. You can talk about anything too. It's not just our show, but you can.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's like a forum. It's like a forum for
podcasts.
It's like a forum for like-minded creepers out there. So
Exactly. You can feel comfortable with your weird sense of humor, and you can share those gifs and those memes that you can't share with your family and friends on Facebook.
Precisely.
Oh, one more quick thing about the Patreon app. It's working much better now.
Oh, the Patreon, yeah. So if you signed up for our Patreon, just like, oh, I want to hear all this bonus content, all that shit, $2 a month, sure, whatever, and you got Patreon, you got the app, and you tried to listen to our show on there, our bonus episodes, and they were cutting out and all that stuff. We got endless comments about that.
Yep.
The Patreon app was a disaster.
We had no control over that whatsoever.
We had no
guys.
control. We were trying to lead you guys to subscribe to our private Patreon feed through whatever app you have, which is actually kind of difficult, people found.
Can be.
I got it to work with Apple iTunes, and it was awesome. I had my own subscription feed on iTunes.
Right. But you still don't get the pictures and the posts that we make on Patreon, though.
Yeah. Well, they have since done a patch, I guess, to the Patreon app, and it works great now from what we hear. So if you quit because of that, come on back, be a part of the Creep Party.
Yeah, the Patreon app, guys, it's very easy to use. It's just like a social media app. You can just scroll through the post. Sometimes we put little updates up on there regarding Patreon, and there's no audio file. It's just text, so you wouldn't even see it if you're using iTunes or another podcast app or whatever. So it's easy to keep everything sorted on the Patreon app, and you can comment on episodes.
And now when you listen to our exclusive episodes on there, it's not skipping out. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I listened to 2 episodes back to back, and I could have never done that before on the Patreon app.
All right.
You usually can't make it through like the first 15 minutes.
There you have it. Patreon, thank you for getting your shit together.
Yeah.
And making the app actually work. And so, yeah, if that was why you left before, come on back.
Yeah, give it another shot.
Yep.
And if you're having problems with it right now, maybe re-download it or check for an update.
All right.
All right.
All right, guys, that'll do it. Next week, we're going to be releasing, speaking of Patreon,
a freeloader,
freeloader series episode from 2 years ago on Patreon. So I'm not sure what it's going to be.
Is it Bundy?
Ted Bundy. Oh, boy.
I think it might be
That's
Bundy.
timely. Because we talked a lot about Zac Efron playing
him. He's coming up. Bundy was somewhere near the
beginning. That was 2 years
of
ago,
Patreon.
and that was when speculation had first come out that Zac Efron was going to play him, and we had another actor in mind that we thought would be better, who looks more like Ted Bundy.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah, and so, yeah, you'll get to hear that if that's the episode, Ted Bundy.
I think it is.
We used A Stranger Beside Me, the book by Anne Rule, to study for that case.
Yep.
And yeah, we had some interesting takes on Ted Bundy. I think they were a little bit different than the common conception of him. Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you next week for the freeloader episode, whether it's Ted Bundy or something else. We don't know yet because we've done a lot of episodes on there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll see you then, and then we'll see you the following week, right? We'll see you the following week for a free episode. For Patreon. Patreon exclusive. Patreon. All right, so there's no better time to sign up for Patreon.
Yeah, it's right when we got our shit together. All right.
Do it or I will impale you.
All right, keep creeping, guys.
Keep creeping.
In the desert, we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us, cause you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you. Sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army. We out here making murder, get murder, get murder. True Crime Guys. In the desert, we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us, cause you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you. Sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army. We out here making murder charming.